The link in the description is only there to see the source material. Do not under any circumstance go to these people with the intent to be a dick. I don't support witch hunts or lynch mobbing, so don't be either. As for the subjects themselves, my video is for the purposes of criticism and entertainment. Take it or leave it. My content is not here to start drama. Please do not treat it like it is. This video talks about some controversial and potentially triggering topics. Viewer discretion is advised. So, in light of recent events, I needed to rewrite everything I previously had for this video. Because while I still want to talk about the topic, I also don't want to do it in a way that's either outdated or... well, actually, I think that covers it. This isn't a typical commentary, not by any stretch of the imagination, and that's on purpose, as today I wish to talk about music. So, every now and then a person will arrive in the commentary community, or in this case the pseudo-anti-community, who wants to expand their horizons into the music scene. We've seen it quite a bit of times. It used to be a lot more common around the time that I joined in 2016, with the likes of Rachel Mills, Silver Keyblade, and Boonslayer, but of course we've since seen it with the likes of people like KH Brony. I think Neko Koda took a few spins at it at one point, and hell, you've even seen me return to my 2011 roots every once in a while. It happens, and unless you're actually trained like Artemi Musha, who has a degree in music, or Hobbs, who seems to have quite a bit of training himself, there's a good chance that most of us have the skill set of, and I mean this in the most endearing way I can, amateur. Hey, I made a whole segment to a video talking about my history as a 13-year-old on Music Shake. I have no shame in this department. Honestly, I can't think of anyone who's taken a shot at reviewing any of these SCC-adjacent songs. Commentary on music isn't totally new. I mean, you've had my video on Doug Walker's The Wall, and I know Lynn Dada made one on a PewDiePie diss track back in the day, but those aren't SCC-adjacent, so I'm not counting those. So I almost feel like a pioneer in this department, because recently-ish, I'd heard that there was one released last year from the anti-SCC community, and well, I can't resist. So I don't think we've been introduced to the likes of Class Edgelord yet, and as of July, I wouldn't blame you if you can't really get a good grasp of who he is as a creator, much less as a person. Frankly, I don't even know too much about him beyond a now really outdated clip.
Why yes, I would like to give Carmen Ryder that sloppy toppy.
So I guess for introductions, come to the stand, Class Edgelord. I know he's a commentator. I know he had a particularly big history with defending the likes of Carmen Ryder. You might have remembered her from some past videos, one pretty recently even. I know he had a beef with Studio Needing More at one point. You might remember him from the Sylveon video. And, well, as the name implies, I can indeed confirm that he is, by all accounts, an edgelord. I mean, I can't really judge him too hard for that, you know. It fits the branding, and everyone loves to root for a nuisance every once in a while. Basically, I want to make it clear that I don't have any ill will towards the guy. I doubt he feels the same way, but I'm not really here to change his mind on that. With that said, I do want to stress that first point, because it's very important to understand what's currently happening in the realms of the anti-SCC going forward into this video. That Carmen Ryder I mentioned earlier, yeah, if you're not too familiar with her, she's the person who last year made a video basically insinuating how people shouldn't set any boundaries for what kind of art gets created of their characters, purely because she herself doesn't care about other people's boundaries. And as of scripting this video, I don't know what the future holds in that situation. She's currently on the shit list of a bunch of folks around her. If you saw my Apologize Carmen Ryder video, you already know much as context as I do about that. Otherwise, the general gist is that apparently there was a scuff in a Discord chat that Carmen ran that drove another user named Septipaws into suicidal ideation. Neko Koda made kind of a big stink about that and made a Mama Max style video trying to get people to pressure Carmen into apologizing. I've already made my statements about that whole thing. I don't really need to go too in detail about it here. You can just watch that video if you want. But apparently Koda's message got through to Carmen's biggest simp, and he's unlisted any video on his channel relating to Carmen. So it's safe to say that he probably doesn't stand behind the video we're covering today. So why am I still covering it? Well, one, because I still have stuff to say. I think the video is pretty funny, and there's quite a bit of critique that can go into the production of Edgelord's piece. I think it'd be interesting to see a commentary within the style be pointed at something unconventional. And, you know, the good old-fashioned reason of, I think it'd be fun. But obviously, keep in mind that Edgelord might not stand behind really anything said within this video, so let's look at it from that entertainment perspective, shall we? Keep the peace and all that jazz. With that, let's look at real... yeah, I guess we should talk about this to begin with, shouldn't we? So, I don't really feel like I can get onto his case that much about this because of my own history with the word, but it's still worth acknowledging that Edgelord really likes the N-word, and given how much of a big deal he makes about it, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a white dude. I'll leave it at that for now because I have a few points about it later that are far more important about the structure of this song, but I felt like getting that out of the way now in case there becomes a question throughout the video. I think it'll really help emphasize the sheer awkwardness that plagues this song, so... Okay, now let's begin real N-word 6, a Carmen Rider cipher. So we start with a copyright disclaimer. I guess I'm gonna have to put the tin can filter on again. Seems pretty common when talking about music here. And then it's followed by another disclaimer that raises even more questions. I do not condone violence nor harassment towards any individuals in this video. Well, that's good, but I think now should be the best time to explain what this song is going to be about. So as I said, Edgelord was a rather big Carmen Rider advocate pre-July. He was very big into defending her from just about anyone she wouldn't fight back against herself. Or at least that was the vibe that I got from what little I did see of his content. This song is a hype song. It's trying to sell us on how great Carmen Rider is. So unlike a commentary which is normally out to critique, there's not much in the realms of reasons to harass that someone would find in a hype song. There is one instance of a name drop a little later that I guess I could see being a reason for this disclaimer, but that's really about it. And I guess even that's a bit of a stretch, especially since Edgelord goes on to state not to harass anyone shown in the video. This will make more sense later. Anything said in the video will be in educational, satirical, humorous, ironic, and/or quotational context. Not something you probably want to say in a hype song, you know? Like, oh, this song to hype up this person I'm a fan of is just a joke, guys, I promise. If I was meaner, I'd probably make a joke along the lines of, this is probably just a defense in case the song sucked, but I'm not gonna be that bitch this time. The contents of this video will not contain slurs or hurtful language in a malicious context, and will only be used for commentary and/or satirical purposes only. Keep this in mind for later because it'll make a lot more sense when we come back to it. Then we get the viewer discretion is advised disclaimer. Not much of a problem with that other than maybe its snide remarks of, if you are easily offended or part of a sensitive audience, click off now, which kind of shows that he doesn't really give a shit about the viewer's discretion and is only really saying this so he has an excuse to write off anyone who might take umbrage with his constant use of the N-word as a headache at most. Like, if you don't care, why make this a part of the disclaimer to begin with? I don't know. Anyway, the song then begins shortly after this.
6 people with one powerful job, policing the dumb shits who do everything wrong. This commentary battle always feels hella long.
Whoops, forgot the filter. But I guess while we're here, let's talk about the unique production. So, when making something in this particular genre, flow is probably one of the most important facets to keep in mind, and it's arguably one of the hardest parts about making a rap. Now, for those not acquainted, flow is the rhythms and rhymes of hip-hop. It's how the two aspects interact, and it's kind of the thing that creates your rhyme schemes and cadence as you go through a verse. Or, in simpler terms, your voice is the instrument and has to help that backing track. It's important to understand how to fit a beat rhythmically and to carry along to it in a way that sounds right to a listener. You don't just start Homeboy Sandman. I mean, even then, Homeboy Sandman's flow is consistent enough to where the off-beaten path still sounds good. It's a unique juxtaposition to the beat that allows the flow to carry itself. Edgelord, obviously, this being his first rap in accordance to his description, wouldn't probably have that ability, nor do I think he's even trying to go that path to begin with. Because as it is, his voice with the instrumental clash. It's horribly offbeat, the flow is almost non-existent, and even the instrumental itself sounds rough. Like, that's a very messy beat, to say the least. Now again, the instrumental to a rap song is also something that can be pretty fluid, and I do mean that genuinely. One clipping song would be enough to convince someone anything can be an instrumental if you're skilled enough, but here we have a low droning synth that stays predominantly monotone throughout most of the song, with a beat that doesn't sound finished, and worse yet, is a beat that falls off itself. I didn't know that that was possible, but here we are. And then after a while, a fucking sample of the old Windows login noise pops up, and it's just, the whole production is just a disgusting mess through and through. I don't know who put this together, but it's a shoddy job, so combine that with Class Edgelord fumbling over his own flow, and you got something that can be a genuine contender for one of the worst songs I've ever listened to. But, you know, he says this is his first rap, and it's not exactly like I had a smooth transition into it either, when I was 13. So let's at least see if the lyrics get across the message he wants to. The message about how good of a commentator Carmen Ryder is.
But these six don't give up. They don't give a fuck. They always prevail even if they get stuck. They cope with laughter even if they're sought after. A gang of six just to fuck up these bastards.
Okay, now let's talk about slant rhymes, and while we're at it, self-rhymes, because I want to cover my bases here.
I know nobody meant to live forever anyway, and so I hustle like my niggas in Virginia. I drink a boost for breakfast, an insure for dessert. Somebody order pancakes, I just sip the scissor. And it seems that they're a little bit insecure, so they want you to feel smaller than an insect. Sure, it sucks.
So contrary to popular belief, not everything needs to perfectly rhyme within music. There are plenty of writing tricks you can do that allows for a self-rhyme, or a rhyme with a word that doesn't exactly point for point rhyme with another, and I'm kind of tired of pretending like we do. Like, having such stringent rules and limitations on what you can do within lyrics does kind of lose a lot of potential for the fun wordplay that is kind of vital for this genre of music. Like, as an example, to embarrass myself a bit here, if I were to use the line, "Me being okay, boy, that just ain't right 'cause no one looks at me," saying, "Boy, that just ain't right," the inflections of the line insinuate that despite the fact that I use the exact same line to rhyme within itself, the two instances of the phrase mean two completely different things, with the first one being there's no way in hell I'm okay, and the other one being a question of my gender. By the way, I totally wanted to use that line at some juncture if you couldn't tell, but the importance on that line isn't the rhyming, it's the wordplay. As such, slant rhymes have a particular use that justifies itself regardless of the rhyme scheme. When a poet ends a stanza on a perfect rhyme, we understand that was most likely where the order of events was going to take us, but using that extra slant rhyme can allow for a more creative word choice, or otherwise a more natural word choice to get across a message better than if the writer stuck with the perfect rhyme scheme for an entire 4 bars. Now, with that said, it's kind of important you lean into it and play alongside it to give the slant rhyme some sort of purpose, which doesn't happen here. Like, laughter and after rhyme well enough, but then you fall off with the use of bastards, and it's just underwhelming as a rhyme scheme, since Edgelord doesn't really play into it.
There'll be more to come, more to join. Whatever happens next, I say flip a coin.
What? Are you saying we should leave whatever happens next up to chance? But then, what are these 6 people with the powerful job doing? Yeah, so now we're gonna get into the portion of the commentary where I'm probably just gonna really just poke at the lines, because if it hasn't been obvious yet, the lyrical content to this rap is also sloppy. There's a lot of confusing choices, like this one. More to come, more to join, whatever happens next to say flip a coin. Like, within context, this was just after Edgelord painted the premise of Carmen Ryder's commentaries to us. There's 6 characters that police the people who do everything wrong. Edgelord then brings up the possibility that Carmen will eventually add a 7th to her cast, but then says that it's up to chance. Like, no, that's up to Carmen. That doesn't really make any sense otherwise.
These other niggas are a joke, nothing more than toys. Broke the digital barrier to sweep trash like white saviors. These other niggas are dogs, Jack Russell Terriers. The others have bark but no bite, they don't fight for what's right. These other dumb niggas just can't get a life.
Okay, I'll give credit where it's due. This whole joke on the work bitches is fine. I wouldn't say it wins any awards for the wittiest wordplay in a rap, but I can accept it for what it is. It works.
But not Carmen and the others slaying easily offended cocksuckers. This is a rap about these emo motherfuckers.
These emo motherfuckers. I can't help but chuckle at how counterintuitive this line is to hyping Carmen Ryder up. Like, I hear this and the first thing that came to mind was...
I'm dark and sensitive with low self-esteem. The way I dress makes every day feel like Halloween. I have no real problems, but I like to make believe I stole my sister's mascara and now I'm grounded for a week.
I mean, even without the old mid-2000s stereotype, like, I think it's hilarious that Edgelord at the time thought trying to hype us on Carmen by effectively calling her overly emotional was a good pitch. Like, I wouldn't call it necessarily a bad thing, not intrinsically at least. I think we're well past the point where emo is seen as a cringy thing, at least I think we are. But when you're hyping her up as this hardcore authority who can argue circles around these easily offended types she goes up against, insinuating that she relies on emotions is just too funny, not to mention, like, oh yeah, she's hard to offend, but she's really emotional. Like, I can't be alone in seeing the humor in that, am I?
Carmen's a thick Hispanic mama. Lives in the hood, got cocaine and narcota. She makes commentaries, leaves your reputation to nada.
I mean, I'd personally disagree, because even discounting how she effectively destroyed her own reputation a little under a year after this video, anyone she'd previously destroyed the reputation of was only destroyed to people who already didn't like those she was covering. But that aside, am I the only one that finds it a little weird that Carmen, who is apparently Hispanic, was immediately described as living in the hood and owns a plethora of narcotics? Either Edgelord got inspiration from Honey Pop too, or Carmen's got way more problems in her life than merely oversensitive people on the internet.
That whole shit's gonna be slaughtered. She might steal your auntie, your daughter.
How specific? Also, still not a great selling point when one of the things that Carmen might advocate for is kidnapping and or pedophilia in accordance to this song. I mean, I guess everyone is someone's daughter, so it's not intrinsically children here, but like, you gotta know what kind of mental image this would instill in a listener. You just gotta. There's no way you don't when you say steal your daughter like that. Also, why the aunt? Like, is Carmen into cougars? I mean, I guess I ain't here to kink shame. It's just not really an image I was sought after seeing. Learning a lot about this woman I frankly didn't really want to.
Bad bitch goes hard. She can steal your man, your bitch, and your Fortnite card.
Oh no, the Fortnite card? Look, I'm sure this line is threatening to some 10-year-old out there who's got a $30 V-Bucks gift card lying around, but Edgelord, I cannot stress to you enough how lame this line is.
She rips apart niggas like Doodle, the ones that are retards.
And here's the only justification throughout the whole song that I can come to as to why Edgelord's disclaimer says not to harass anyone mentioned in the video. Because he drops a name of someone who doesn't even go by said name anymore. To be fair, I suppose this could have predated the name change, so I won't be too much of a bitch about it. I guess it's not hard to guess that this is a reference to Chuli, previously known as Vabzakin or Dulu, who was the first person Carmen had a brief spat with, like, what, 2 years ago, about some artist that controversially didn't want to add the trans flag to a commission they were paid to do. I think, it's been a while. And Chuli doesn't even have the video up anymore. Carmen's got both of hers up, so I guess if you're that interested, they're there, but admittedly, I don't care enough at the end of the day. This is frankly a weak line regardless, because it's such a forced rhyme that breaks the flow of the rap just to get a cheap potshot at someone Carmen had a very brief spat with. I think now's also a good time to talk about the formatting to the lyrics on screen here. Talk about lazy. Copied and pasted with little regard to help emphasize your rhyme scheme to your audience, because just staring at this lyric sheet, it gives the impression that you're trying to rhyme hard with man, with card with Dulu, with retards with heroin, with herbs with bars, when it's quite obvious that your rhyme pattern is hard, card, retard, tar, and bars. It's very graphics design is my passion, is what I'm trying to say. To use my own amateur garbage as an example of how you can rectify this,
I think you need to touch grass. Here, have some wheat. You're like furnace minecarts, old and obsolete. I'm using triangulation to calculate your defeat and diggy hole your grave, buried 6 feet.
you can see that in my video, that each new line is a new subtitle. It helps put emphasis on the flow and rhyme scheme that I'm using within the verse, so the audience can follow along to the song if they deem it fit. Most lyric videos will do this.
Child in a park chasing it up. When I'm chasing them up, these funny niggas be chasing they luck. I be lacing them up like fools when I'm pushing their face and I'm on. And I'm about that capital like a proper noun. Still on top the pile. Got me sitting on numbers like a pocket dial. Quick to call you out on your bullshit. Don't make me get that crocodile. Whatever shit with, then I'm with it. Choking out with the pill. We playing hide and go get it. I ain't had that thing in a minute.
But here in Edgelord's video, we don't get that. Instead, everything is so haphazardly mashed together that you kind of just have to make an educated guess as to where all the rhyme beats are. It's not good. Ugh, God, I'm wondering how many claims are gonna hit this video. Look, I don't mention this often, but I do have a Ko-fi and Patreon linked in like all of my videos. This and Twitch are my two biggest sources for revenue, and I'm most likely not getting anything for this video given the nature of how many other songs I've been calling to. So, if you'd like to support me for whatever reason you have, those links are there if you want, I guess. I mean, you don't really gotta, though. I don't know how these music reviewers do it, though.
Her humor's darker than heroin, black tar. Listen to these special herbs and listen to these bars.
Listening to these special herbs following a mention of black tar heroin. I'll give the benefit of doubt and say you're referencing two different drugs here, but even then I have to question which naturally grown drug has you ingest it through your ears.
If you fuck with her, she's gonna leave a scar. She mating presses Virgo in the backyard.
What does that even mean? Urban Dictionary. I don't like the source, but a sex position commonly seen in hentai and Rule 34 and sometimes porn. Did we tell them? It is normally just the missionary position, albeit exaggerated from the view of the couple's rear with the added touch of the penetrator's legs and more up on the receiver's legs for deeper penetration. It looks as though the penetrator is squatting while in this position. This position is commonly seen in breeding/impregnation kinks, with the receiver being skeptical of being pleased/fucked, or just being cocky or superior, followed by a female egg being fertilized seconds within seconds of the penetrator coming, despite in reality taking several days or weeks of the woman to actually become fertilized. The receiver is usually crying out in pleasure. As a result, a similar position is the pile driver. And they just do this in the backyard? Openly? Gross. Never mind how Carmen has confirmed that canonically this Virgo character is anywhere from 13 to 17 years of age.
So what is this terrible evidence that Neat has? It's the ages of my characters. Specifically, my cast members. Here, I'll put them on screen so you can see. You can pause and read if you like. Now you may think, well, if it's not so bad and you're not ashamed of it, then why keep their ages a secret? Well, the reason I kept a secret isn't because I'm doing anything sus, but simply because I know that I wouldn't get as much NSFW art of the characters if I said their actual ages.
By the way, if I might sidetrack for a sec, Carmen's kinda fucking weird about this shit. You make your characters this young consciously, canonically make your 25-year-old date one of said minors, and then keep the ages a secret so you could potentially get not safe for work of them. But like, why then do you make them this young? I know you don't necessarily see it as a problem with it because fiction and whatever, but when you've consciously made the effort to make your own characters that you want porn of minors, there's going to be some eyebrows raised as to why you would actively want porn of them this young. Like, they're your characters. You can make them of age and be perfectly fine.
And yes, I know there are most artists who won't give a shit since, you know, 1, they're fictional characters, and for 2, they pretty much have the appearance of adults. I mean, they're basically the equivalent of Yoko and literally anyone from My Hero Academia. But there's always that 25% of artists who decide not to draw a character because despite them looking extremely buff and like an adult, they choose not to draw them because the wiki says that they're 14 or something. Well, now you may be wondering, why make them that age in the first place? Well, here's the thing. Their ages are more reflective of their personalities, not their appearances. I know that I, of all people, shouldn't have to sit here and explain why a fictional character's age is the way it is, But because Neat wants to use that as blackmail, I'm not gonna have that.
No, you probably should explain why you made your characters minors, especially if you're out here actively wanting pornography of them. It's fucking weird that you're out here trying to trick people into drawing pornography of canonical minors, fiction or no. If someone ain't cool about doing that, you making it a point to keep the ages a secret so that you can get that extra porn is weird and creepy. I cannot be the only one who sees this. Also, making your character's ages based on their personality is on its own fucking weird, because that's not how age works, and furthermore, the fact that you made that a point insinuates some creepy shit, cause, like, you know why pedophilia is a problem, right, Carmen? Right? Now we insert the Just a Sylveon alt account telling me to stop getting mad at drawings in the comment section. I'm just saying.
She does commentaries on people who are irrelevant and unnecessary.
So do I. You don't see me parading that shit in a rap verse, though. Like, it's not the most shining compliment to give someone to call what they do ultimately superfluous. Like, hey yo, you do some pointless shit, you know that? It's why you're the greatest. I can't.
Say some stupid ass shit, prepare for some ass tearing. She fucks up all the Beckys, Emilys, and Karens. She protects her whole gang like a protective parent.
She'd have to, given the ages of those characters.
She's got a whore mom and a simp dad.
Is this also supposed to be more hype towards Carmen? It's starting to sound a little like a diss track there, Edgelord.
She's had it tough, that's how you know she's bad.
She's had it tough, that's how you know she's bad. Yep, that was the subtitles.
And SJW's fighting true scum trans.
Now, normally I'd point out how this also isn't a compliment for a hype track. That is, unless you want to cater exclusively to Blair White fans. But considering these people are still out here unironically using social justice warriors as a term in 2021 when most people had long since left that fight, frankly, I'm just wasting my breath.
Hella monetize, she's making bands.
Monetization on YouTube isn't that big of a deal. Unless you have a consistently big audience, you're really not gonna get more than pocket change for a month. Actually, wait, if she makes a big enough sum of money, why was she described as living in a ghetto, living off of narcotics?
She's a caramel skinned nigga. She's got that dark colored tan. Fuck with her or anyone, she'll take a stand.
And that's the end of the Carmen verse, and I'm 10 pages into my script. So the rest of the song is going to be used to describe the other characters in Carmen's roster. I know significantly less about them than I do Carmen, and I'm already pretty lenient on what I know about her, so know that as I continue, I'm only looking at this from the perspective of what's detailed in the song. I think this can also help make a point about how much this hype track fails to sell the idea of Carmen Rider to us.
Bad bitch demon made straight from the queen. Became Carmen's cute little wife looking thick on the computer screen.
So now this guy comes to the forefront. Ladies and gentlemen, FPS the commentator. From a glance at his channel, I figure it's just about what it says on the box. He's a very general topics kind of commentator who also seems to have been, if not still is, a Carmen Rider fan, or not. Unsure why he's in a hype song about her if he claims to not be a fan, but whatever. Point is, he'll be doing every other verse that Class Edgelord doesn't do. For a cipher, this is pretty pathetic. Conceptually, a cipher is a gathering of people passing verses off to one another. Typically, it's an excuse to do a mass collab, so just having two people pass the bar back and forth is pushing what a cipher is. We'll say that much. Like, it's okay for this to just be a rap song between you and your buddy, but you went out and called it a cipher, so it's something I'm gonna take notice of.
You know her flow is mean. Long purple hair and Carmen's wet dream.
Ah yes, the 13 to 17-year-old is Carmen's wet dream. I'm sorry, this is such an easy fruit to pick.
She's the reason why others' arguments are fickle. She's the reason why we all sin a little.
Speak for yourself. My arguments are fickle because I'm an idiot. Don't you take away my accomplishments like that.
A menacing demon scarier than Death Sickle. She's Carmen's new missile.
Truly, I don't really know if I'd call a character made in Kisake scary, especially not when she's supposed to be seen as some level of sexy, given Carmen's own admission of wanting pornography of the character, but I guess I won't judge too harshly. Everyone's afraid of something, I guess.
the death whistle to SJW propaganda, dumb pandas who be light-minded to disperse the whites from the universe.
Welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Does That Mean? In today's episode, the dumb pandas who be light-minded to disperse whites from the universe. Hey, did you guys know that you can't just slap together a bunch of words and expect it to sound intelligent? Because what this tells me is that Virgo is all too willing to exterminate the rest of an endangered species in favor of black bears.
The only devil to rebel against those with weak will in being the lamest thing since me know.
Her hair is purple, also the only devil to rebel against the weak-willed. Clearly someone's not doing their job correctly.
Bookworm Green, Carmen's right hand to the whole damn team. A femboy, censored eyes, mostly uncolored like cream.
Mostly uncolored? This character couldn't be any whiter if they were the person dropping these bars.
Listen to his takes, you're in for a treat.
Ah yes, I'm sure they don't just parrot Carmen's beliefs verbatim as a talking head to justify some batshit beliefs she herself holds. I mean, who would do something so pathetic like that? Wait for it.
Looks feminine but has a meat.
We did it! We found the best line in the entire rap. Looks feminine but has a meat. Truly this rivals the works of Shakespeare and Poe. Truly we have found the pinnacle of hip-hop. Pack it in, Mr. Shady, you've got nothing on this man.
Always wins when he goes into the heat.
So this character non-cons people. Good to know. Look, if they're dropping nuclear-level hot takes on those SJW types, there's no way they're getting that sex consensually. Come on now.
His OC looks like some fuck shit from the streets. Be blunt, rinse, repeat. Uncancelable. Just fucked up shit unfathomable. Can get powerful. Can pull horny weed niggas, looks passable. Acts cute, looks patable. His relationship with SJW's incompatible.
See, if him being against SJWs is a selling point, then there's just no way that he doesn't either trick them into sex or pops a date rape drug into a drink or two. I'm just saying. Also, isn't this kid canonically 16? Do we not get on a studio needing Morse case for sexualizing a 16-year-old? Am I missing something here? Could have sworn even Carmen herself called me a groomer during their feud. Oh, but this is a fictional character, so it doesn't count. Whatever. It's literally the same concept, except when we pretend it isn't. Bah. I'm also not sure I like the insinuation that this character being passable as a woman is what gets him to pull in the horny weeaboos into bed with him. That's exactly the kind of harmful trans stereotype that keeps our rights as trans people oppressed, and true scum or no, I would think Carmen would want to avoid painting herself as someone who would willingly trick some straight guy into bed with her for the quick dicking. Otherwise, we might have some other questions to raise about Miss Ryder. Look, I'm not accusing Carmen of anything here. I want to clarify that. I'm just pointing out the unfortunate implications here.
When he's here, you know shit is happening. Gray and dark like a factory.
White is not dark.
Boost SJW niggas that are unsatisfactory.
So, SJWs. Like, you got through saying his relationships with social justice warriors are incompatible, full stop. And considering the rest of this rap, you really don't think that there are such a thing as a satisfactory SJW, so this just doesn't make any sense. Also, can I just point out how the constant use of SJW is in of itself really bad for this rap? Like, that's a 5-syllable anagram that, for starters, rarely fits contextually to any situation that isn't how hard you can own a niche group of individuals that you just don't align politically with. But it's also just not a good rhyme because of that. Like, to use a similar anagram, you rarely even see BMWs properly used in rap songs without them being called by something other than BMW.
That's why my ex, you don't wanna be her. She used to have the baby, now she on a sneaker. I had her eating lobster, now she eating pizza. Do it for the strong, we do it for the meek. Boom it in your, boom it in your, boom it in your Jeep, or your Honda, or your Beamer, or your Legend, or your Benz. The rave of the town to your foes and your friends.
The only time that I can think of specifically BMW getting a drop in rap either comes from Kanye or Polo G, and both were pretty forced and sloppy at the best of times. Also, it's just not the greatest pejorative to use in this kind of situation when you're really trying to stress how good someone is. It feels like you're only really making this rap because Carmen is specifically, shoot, what's the word?
Want this British counterpart yelling blasphemy, the backbone that makes Carmen's content pander to me.
Right, pandering. Thank God Edgelord had the word handy, it would have just been on the tip of my tongue otherwise.
6 people with one powerful job, policing the dumb shits who do everything wrong.
Wait. What? Is this supposed to be a chorus? Okay, so you might be wondering why I'm a bit confused. A chorus in a rap song isn't too far-fetched. Yeah, you'd be correct. If once again, this wasn't called a cipher. Ciphers don't have choruses because they're meant to be baton passes from one rapper to another. This could maybe pass as a very weak posse cut, because those have like at minimum 4 rappers, but to better understand the idea of a cipher, think of it like an organized rap battle where each MC takes a turn to spit some bars, trying to out-rap one another, not 2 dorks clumsily fumbling over a hush-posh of a beat cobbled together lazily in Fruity Loops.
Carmen Rider's counterpart, but purple and corrupted.
Oh, so we're not just stopping at the hair being purple. The whole goddamn state of being is purple with this one.
Never takes any prisoners, so these fuckwits.
I love moments like this that are just inadvertent slams against Carmen Rider. I really don't think it was intentional, but FPS really out here calling the whole crew of 5 others fuckwits with his full chest.
She will be blunt and harsh on any old dumb bitch, a part of the team to subtract you to nothing.
Oh, so now we're not even trying to rhyme at this point.
Cussing out foes that failed to give death's blow after being resurrected they needed correction. That make more than 50 bad takes in hell for days. She calls you out if you think in a shitty way.
Okay, so do I point out how this is the typically described behavior of social justice warriors against thought crimes now, or...
And making them pay for their sins. She cooks your ass for the sake of them wins, and puts your shitty opinion in the trash bin.
You know, I thought this was supposed to be like the anti-Carmen, right? Like, it just occurred to me, if this is supposed to be the counterpart to Carmen's character, the corrupted nega Carmen, as it were, then why does this verse sound exactly like every other one we've heard thus far? Actually, more to the point, why does this sound exactly like the Carmen verse, but without the racism? Oh, she dunks on stupid people who don't align their thoughts with her. She does this to any old dumb bitch, similarly to Carmen's commentaries from people irrelevant and unnecessary. Like, what makes this character all that different from Carmen? To be honest, when I heard that there was an anti-Carmen in her lore, I almost expected it to be like a straw man of the oversensitive SJW types, because logic would dictate that as the case, you know? Carmen is anti-SJW. Anti-Carmen would be an SJW, but so far all we've heard is, yo, here's Carmen again, but this time she's purple, and we treat it like the Virgo verse by adding in all this religious imagery into it.
Do you validate me? Bitch, no, quit asking.
Oh, so now we're just going to be blatant with the transphobia, while making a hype song for a trans woman. Unless this is someone asking for validation on their opinion, to which... okay, but once again, this isn't exactly the hard-hitting line you seem to think it is, because at that point it's just this character doesn't agree with the hypothetical person even asking for their opinion to be validated to begin with. Like, should we care that this anti-Carmen is just as contrary as Carmen Rider? Should we care that she'd totally be a Cory Margera Kenny? Because, yeah, people disagree, FPS. That tends to be how differing opinions work. Why do we care?
Dumb Karens fall victim to one of the 6 best attractions. Fuck these dumb faggots. She rarely gets passive and leaves you abandoned.
And we end the verse with more apathy to even try to care to make something worth a damn. Though, frankly, that verse told us nothing about this character, so I shouldn't really be surprised. At least with Virgo, we know that she's a devil, as well as Carmen's fuck buddy. With Bookworm Green, we know he's a femboy and a sex pest. At least with Carmen, we got racism. I don't even know this anti-Carmen's name, much less anything beyond her just being someone who hates differing opinions. I guess I learned that she's purple, whatever that's supposed to mean. Anyway, back to Edgelord.
You know that girl got melanin?
Oh Jesus fuck, my eyes are bleeding. Like, up to this point, the visuals weren't great, but I could at least read the verses on screen. For those maybe new to this channel, allow me to mention something very important as to why I, in particular, hate this slide. I'm red-green colorblind, specifically due to anomaly, if anyone's curious. I know, crazy, right? The person with this fucking character design is the iconic part of her channel, can't properly see red nor green. One of these days I'll explain that. I've wanted to make a video about it for a while now, but to stay on topic, people like me who have a really hard time differentiating green colors are a good argument as to why graphic design is important. First of all, let's talk about the busy as fuck background. It's not the fact that you have a moving background that's necessarily the issue, though I might get on your case for it looping improperly, but there's kind of a lot there with nothing really breaking it up from your text. So all those small lines blend those texts in like a horrible green soup. Makes the text harder to read is what I'm trying to say. There's a simple fix though. Much lighter and contrasting outline on the text is really the least you could do to make this whole thing pop out a bit better. Color theory is something that gets talked about a lot in graphic design, and there's kind of a good reason for it, because green on green is... No, I think the fuck not. It's also not like you really needed green on green, because Libra wears a white dress as a core element of her character design.
Libra's the reason why niggas ain't celibate. Got a black woman to keep shit all relevant, looks hella feminine but acts hella masculine, she fills your body with adrenaline. She's a bad bitch that joined Carmen Ryder.
How did this get worse?
You know that Libra's hair is green and strikes like a viper. Like Carmen Shocker, she has on a visor.
She's got green hair and pronouns. Got it. Also, Anti-Carmen's name was Carmen Shocker? Fuck?
She don't fuck with keyboard warriors, the hella dumb typers. She don't give a fuck and she pulls an all-nighter.
So do most of my friends. This still isn't a flex.
Yeah. And you know she attacks. Don't fuck with her, my nigga, step back. She deals with critics in her own way, my nigga, code black.
So we're either talking about the 2013 film, which doesn't make sense, that was a documentary about trauma, and the name Code Black meant was that the hospital was too full to take on more patients. The 2015 TV series, which wouldn't make sense because that's just based on the documentary. Or the military term used in World War II, which I'm going to headcanon Edgelord as referring to here because it's much funnier to me than just figuring Edgelord was reaching for a rhyme and went for a word that rhymed with back that had something to do with Libra's only character trait being that she's the token black character of Carmen's lore.
If you fuck with her, you know she's gonna snap. You said the N-word and I am offended. Nigga, who gives a fuck? Libra's not offended, you fucking cuck. And if you think otherwise, you fucking suck!
Friendly reminder, Gangsta Rap the Glockumentary is a comedy movie, a mockumentary, a joke. Anyway, I've been waiting to cover this part of the song since I started because there's actually a couple of things to note here. Again, I won't get on to Edgelord's case for saying the N-word too much. I don't have the right to, given my own history. However, I do want to point out that Edgelord is trying to excuse the use of said N-word via the supposed opinions of a fictional character. A fictional character written by someone who is not black. Now, I personally have my own disagreements with the notion that fictional characters can't, to some degree, have an impact on or at least give an insight to one's real thoughts. I've spotlighted Carmen's harem characters and how young most of them are. I think that's a little sus. Carmen, of course, would disagree as she puts a lot of emphasis on the separation between fiction and reality, and I'm also like 90% certain Edgelord, at least at the time of this song, agreed with the sentiment. And you know, fine. I can leave it to agree to disagree. I don't care enough to argue. I think it's gross, but contrary to what someone like Sylveon is going to say in the comments, I'm not actually mad at it. That said, if we're going to separate fiction from reality, you can't sit here and excuse racist language by pointing to a fictional character of color and tell us that they don't care. I would argue even not separating the two dimensions you can't do so because Carmen, being the writer of that character, hasn't the power to actually tell us one way or another. She can say so if she wants, but it doesn't mean anything when it's not a slur that would be used to oppress her, you know? Edgelord described her as Hispanic, not black, so she has no black cards to give, as it were. However, if we are to separate fiction from reality, completely detach it with no nuance to be seen, as Carmen's defenders at the time liked to do, then hey, this is a fictional character. Her opinions do not matter because she's not real. Get fucked. Please. Touch some grass. Furthermore, and more hilariously, I don't know how many of you guys noticed this funny little detail about this line in particular, but with Edgelord saying with his full chest that the opinions of a fictional character give him a pass to say the N-word with no repercussions to follow it, why then does Edgelord keep censoring the word in the lyrics? Like, I can understand censoring it in the title since that shit could get you flagged out the gate, but every instance of the N-word said throughout this song is spelled with asterisks in the lyrics. Feel free to go back and check yourself. For a man who says it's totally okay for him to say the word, challenge the notion of one's offenses towards the word, and totally has the word of a fictional black woman on his side, his actions show a bit of conscience towards the ideals he puts into the video, and I think that's really funny. Also, apropos of nothing, the word is always said by Edgelord. FPS doesn't seem to stand with that notion. It's not a critique, I just thought that was a little interesting. We'll come back to that later, though.
You know him. He is Hellfire Rib Bong. That also extinguishes liars for hire with their bad takes on fire and blasts your ass back to the British Empire.
So, I've just been kind of riffing this song for most of this video, with a few actual critiques and observations here and there. Most of it has been me being a clown, though. Honk honk. But if I may get real for a second here, with a little bit of tweaking, those bars actually could have been something to praise. Genuinely, I think those are the best lines in the entire song. Like, FPS almost had flow. Compared to his last verse, he actually bothered to rhyme. And grant you, it started out a little clunky, with a little bit of tweaks. No, this was a decent start, all things considered.
With a campfire to cook up his arguments, he doesn't have time for you. He's just as important as a British Parliament. He will come to prove that your arguments are tarnished and hella retarded.
And then it falls off. I'm gonna guess with the two back-to-back references to Britain, this character is supposed to be British, right? So again, I'll at least say we know more about this character than FPS's last verse, but that said, not even an attempt to rhyme past the "he doesn't have time for you" line.
While being a monument to the gang to bang his foes into the dirt with big brains that complain till they're at death's door, death's row. He has no time to play around with these dumb hoes.
So, he fucks his opponents on dirty ground, complains about everything at someone till they're dead, and apparently has no time to play around with sex workers. Got it.
Because he is colder than snow, and having to deal with crackheads acting like they've been to him below. He doesn't have time for whores.
Yeah, because he's too busy trying to fuck his opposition. We heard you the first time, buddy. Also, no, I have no idea what the crackhead line had to do with anything. It came across as an unfinished thought that was maybe trying to repeat the persistent idea that everyone that Carmen goes up against is just some fucking stupid oversensitive type. But it doesn't even land, much less lands well enough to hit. Also, please find something else to use to hype Carmen up. I cannot be the only one that's noticed this whole rap was like, Carmen and her characters are smarter than you for like 7 minutes. Good God, this is tedious.
Because this is Kid Blue, bitch. He can take a penis slam to the car door.
I slam my penis in the car door. You slam your penis in the car door.
We're really at the point where someone unironically references an internet meme while trying to say someone is tough shit. I hate it here, on God. Anyway, Edgelord does the chorus again, yada yada, emo motherfuckers, you'd be non-conforming too if you look just like me, we get it. Then the credits where the constant censoring of the N-word is explained. FPS did the lyrics, what a plot twist. I kind of figured after noticing that little detail. Also, FPS did the instrumental, so, I still firmly stand behind my complaints from earlier about it, but, you know, none of this really matters since I'm like 85% certain this whole video was a joke anyway. That's right, I did this commentary thinking full well that this video was mostly done as one giant meme. If I had made it clear by the fact this video was mostly just riffing over really anything substantial, I'll clear the air right now. It's much more believable to me to see this as something that was made purely for the shits and giggles than an actual hype rap trying to elevate Carmen Rider, and I actually full well had intentions going into this earlier to just fully make a joke video, take it way less seriously than I actually did in this video. However, given Edgelord went and unlisted this video after the events of Apologize Carmen Rider, I did grow a little bit more skeptical to my initial view on this video, so I figured, hey, you know, maybe I could give it a bit of some extra critique where critique mattered, so I had to rewrite what I initially had, which albeit was just the intro statements, to kind of flesh it out and play it into it a bit less than what I had before. Because now I'm a bit more uncertain. It's still plausible that Edgelord merely unlisted the video so as not to associate with Carmen, and, you know, if that's what happened, kudos to you, Edgelord, more power to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I fell hook, line, and sinker into your bit. But it's also plausible, though, that Edgelord just no longer stands by this video, and so my critique, while maybe a bit outdated for the specific circumstance, could, generally speaking, still hold up. Either way, this video was just fucking fun to put together. It doesn't beat, say, the police videos Avi and I do every year. Those are genuinely the most fun I have putting together a video, period. But it was just nice to put something together that wasn't that serious. I kind of needed this after being in a productive rut for like the past month or two, where in order to work I had to push myself till I genuinely wanted to die. So while I don't think this will go down as the best video I made ever, it was definitely a video I kind of needed to get the energy flowing again. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I did creating it. Anyway, have a good day, and take care.